Hey,
Luke? Yeah, come on in.
What's going on, man?
Hey, not much.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Cell phone charger back there if you need one.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it, man. How's your day been so far?
Oh, not too bad. Glad the rain stopped.
Yeah, 100%.
Just getting off work?
Yeah, just had like an event.
Okay.
So, just winding down the day now.
Sure.
What about you? How's the work been so far?
Oh, it's not too bad. I do 9 to 5 and then I do this.
Okay.
So, like, I do this to get out of my house. I work from home.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
What do you do for your 9 to 5?
9 to 5, I'm a cloud infrastructure engineer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's like staring at a computer screen all day.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm in like venture debt, so we like lend money to tech companies.
Oh, cool.
So,
Probably some of the ones I work for.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, probably. Yeah, got some crossover there.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah. So
How long have you been doing that?
it's been about coming up on like 5 years now.
Oh,
So
nice.
coming up on 5 years. Yeah.
Very cool. So you just add like liquidity to companies that are getting ready to start specifically, like.
Right. Yeah. Or like
Okay.
yeah. A lot of times it's like they'll raise and we'll like do like a loan deal with them as well too.
Sure, like a loan deal where you're like, okay, we'll get a piece of whatever you're doing for such and such evaluation type of thing.
Right. Yeah. So like we'll lend them like a certain amount of money and then we'll also take like warrants as well too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense. What made
Yeah.
you decide to go with that route?
And I kind of fell into it actually.
Yeah.
Honestly, just started out at a bank here called Sax and fell into it. I just met the head of the group and was like, "Oh, you can do that? I didn't even know you could like lend to tech companies." And one thing led to another.
For sure. So I actually work.
You work?
Yeah.
Okay, I used to work there.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So I'm part of the US AO team. That's what I do. So. All
Wow, small world. Okay.
Yeah, that's funny, right?
Cool.
Because they're buying stuff up in Chicago, so they're like, hey, we need a United States team, so they started hiring people. So I've been there. Actually, today's my first year with them.
Okay, nice. How you like it so far?
They're great. My team is really great. The work I do is pretty easy, so yeah, I like it. It's a very casual, easy. Like I get to just pick and choose what I get to work on. So
It's like pretty chill. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very casual.
And you're like fully remote too?
Yeah, 100% remote. So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like, I think I had to go in to get, switch out the laptop, I want to say February. And I was like, I don't even know how to get into the building. Like, I don't have any.
Yeah, did you go to the one at LaSalle and Monroe or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right over here, yeah. And so I was like, I have no idea how to get in. And so I was like, but they're like, you don't have to, just go to this little room here and they'll take care of it. Like, cool.
Yeah.
It's nice, yeah. But I've been fully remote since like 2017.
Oh, nice. What were you doing before?
Oh gosh, tons of stuff. I've worked for a ton of places, like Baker McKinsey, which is like the 4th biggest law firm in the world.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I worked for the Illinois Housing Development Authority during COVID. So that was for there's a thing called the COVID Relief Fund for like people that were needing to keep roofs over their head.
Yeah.
Right. So we helped pay their mortgage, pay their rent, stuff like that. And so that was a web app designed in Azure. So I did all that programming. So that was really fun to do. What else? I've worked for the Judicial Conference of California. I've worked for Malwarebytes, which is like a fairly well-known tech company for AV stuff, antivirus. And then I've bounced around back and forth between California and here, so I've done a lot of stuff from all over.
So you're from Chicago originally, or
Actually, California originally.
Okay, what part of California?
So I grew up in the wine country,
Yeah.
and then I moved to LA for my 20s, and then I moved here after that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
What brought you here to Chicago?
My daughter. So her mom is from here, and after we split up, she moved here with my daughter.
Okay.
And since I work in tech and I can do this anywhere, so I was like, all right, come too.
Yeah. Is your daughter still here in Chicago?
For now, she's 9. So as soon as she's 18, she wants to leave, and so will I.
Go back to California?
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you from here originally?
No, I'm from Minnesota.
Minnesota?
Originally,
Okay.
actually, but I actually wouldn't mind living out in California though. It'd be pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, if you can afford it, that's really the major issue.
Yeah, like what do you think about like the whole like I feel like that's like one of the main reasons why people are leaving is just because it's so freaking expensive.
It's unreal. It really is. Yeah, and it's super unfortunate. And the biggest problem is, I think something like 1/3 of all the homes in the Bay Area are empty, because foreign investors come to buy houses to get money out of their country, and that's it. And so they just park it. So it's just,
oh wow,
and this is in my personal belief. I don't think corporations should be allowed to own houses at all. So how many corporations buy houses to then turn them into Airbnbs?
Right, like funds and stuff, like yeah.
And so it's like, so that just drives up the price of housing for people that are just people that want to have a home.
Right. It's like the average like price of a home there. It's like over like $1 million right now. It's like crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like in the Bay Area, and then how's it like down in LA? Is it?
Oh, it's the same. LA actually just beat the Bay Area.
Wow.
Yep.
It's like just as bad. Wow.
Yeah, so it's just as bad.
So if I were to move there, what would be like a semi-affordable place? not many. Maybe San Diego.
Well, so I was actually looking at San Diego too, and San Diego is and isn't affordable. It's still, you're going to be paying around $750, $800 for like a 2-3 bedroom house.
Damn.
But it will be a house.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. That's the way to feel about it. You could go outside of the metropolitan areas where you're like not even in the burbs, where you're living like an hour outside of whatever city you're in.
Yeah.
And it's slightly better down there, but even then it's like you're still in the middle of at that point you're in the middle of the desert.
Right.
So
it's like
yeah, it's like, no, I want to go to the beach. Everybody wants to go to California for the beach. So
right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate too, man, because like I mean it's such a great state.
Yeah. It really
it's like
is.
I think it's honestly like probably the best like
preaching to the choir, state,
man. Yeah. One of the best, in the country, honestly. Like,
oh yeah.
One of the best places in the world, I think, to live at.
I think so too, and it really, the reason why is because it has everything, including snow. It has everything you could want. If you were to go from the bottom to the top of California, anything, every climate you want, everything you want, it's all there, and it's all, an 8-hour drive from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think it's wonderful. And I think it's unfortunate housing has gone the way that it's gone. I have a ton of family there, and they're all renting. They're all stuck,
Or, they're still renting. And
wow. Or heaven forbid, or they have to do like work 3 jobs to get a house type of thing,
Shit, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, and then when you do get a house, what's a mortgage on a $750,000 home? $4,000 a month.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's right. That's unfathomable numbers. When you look at, what is it? I think 70% of the United States population makes $30,000 to $50,000.
Right.
They're not even bringing that home every month.
Yeah, dude. I think there's got to be like something's got to happen there. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's something like. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like something's got to give in California.
Yeah.
It's just getting too crazy.
And that's really it. There just has to be something that changes to give it that, to make it to where regular everyday people can afford a place to live, because there just isn't anything like that right now, and that's a big problem.
Right.
And honestly, but it's happening everywhere, and again, because Airbnb, because of all this stuff, it's happening in all major cities. I mean, people were leaving Chicago for the same reason, because it's becoming untenable, unaffordable. It's
right, and then you get like taxed like the living shit out of it, like
right.
Yeah.
What do they say in Chicago? Come for the taxes, stay for the crime, right? Yeah.
Seriously, man. I mean, there's not that many places in like the U.S. like in major areas where it's still. So I feel like everyone just leaves and goes to those places and then jacks up the prices there too.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was just having a conversation with some people that were from here, and they were like, "We're looking at Arizona," and they were like. And it wasn't even like big places in Arizona where you're like looking at like Phoenix, like the big cities and stuff like that. They were like middle of nowhere Arizona, and they're like, we should have bought a year and a half ago because everything is doubled in price.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, and it's just how it is. But I'm seeing Airbnb returns in some of the more not rural, but the less popular cities are like where people are like bleeding money now because people can't afford to rent. Which is what I think Karl Marx talked about in Das Kapital. He said, look, if you pay workers and you keep the wages low, but raise the cost of the thing that they're buying, eventually they can't afford it. That's what's happening with housing.
Wow.
People can't afford to rent anymore, and so
what are they like? Like if people can't afford to rent, like what are they?
It's going to be a collapse.
They just like go and like uprise like.
Yeah. Right, that's kind of what you're gonna have because it's like with desperate people can't live, right?
Right. Well, I feel like San Francisco is like that. It's like a great example, like the Bay Area. It's like it's like you're either like I feel like the middle class has been like hollowed out there. It's like
yeah.
either like you're fucking super rich, like crazy tech billionaire, or like you're struggling.
Yeah, that's really all there is. Yeah, there's no in between. You know, and the people that work, that do like that work at the offices or that work at the retail, that work all these jobs that are, you know, with San Francisco's artistry, because I grew up there. It was very artsy and all that stuff. Those people can no longer afford to work there. They can afford to live there. And all of a sudden, you know, the soul of San Francisco is very much no longer what it is. It used to be you're there for the arts and the culture, but now it's just a tech city.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's very bland.
Just tech, yeah.
Yeah, and then homelessness, which is a big problem.
Right.
I was there in May, and it still looks great. Everything looks like a wonderful city. You can get to, you know, the beach all over the place, and that's really wonderful. But it's like you can tell there's a level of vibrancy that it just doesn't have anymore.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hopefully that's like. So if you were to move back, where would you go? Like to get? We're in California.
Yeah, great question. So, I do want to move back to Los Angeles. I love LA. That's like, it's always felt like home to me.
Yeah.
So I would like to go to LA. It just depends. It's either LA or San Diego. I've always, like, I grew up in the North Bay, but I'm very much a Southern California guy.
Yeah.
I just, like, I'm a lizard. I need heat at all times.
Yeah.
So
Chicago's probably not treating you too well.
No, 9 months out of the year I'm indoors. So yeah, it's I definitely think probably either San Diego or LA would be where I go. But yeah, same thing. They're just extremely difficult. I'm really lucky. I did that whole work 3 jobs and buy a house thing, so I did that, and so I'm hoping I can either pay it off and sell it and make.
You own a house here?
Yeah.
Chicago. Is in the city. We're in the city.
Edgewater.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm right by you. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. We're heading
going to my place.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So I like it, and it's a great neighborhood. I think it's up and coming, so it's like, okay, fine.
I like Edgewater. It's cool. Yeah. So you bought a house or is it like a condo?
It's a house.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. 3-bedroom, 2 stories. I was really lucky. I timed the market perfectly. I got a sub 3% APR.
Oh shit!
In
Yeah.
2021.
You're sitting pretty nice.
Yeah. So I'm like very happy with it. But yeah, it's nice. It's right. I'm like 2 blocks from the lake.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's a great area. Like, if you know where Loyola is, like, I'm right there.
Oh, so you're like a little bit south, like Rogers Park.
Rogers Park is north of Loyola, so yeah, but I am south of it, exactly. 2 blocks south of that and 2 blocks from the lake.
Okay.
So like right where Lakeshore Drive ends, just go up like 2 blocks, and that's right.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. And it's really nice. So I'm like, okay, well maybe I could turn that into a rental for students because it's like right there.
Yeah.
By the school, so that might be the plan. I have 10 years to figure it out. My kid's only 9, so yeah. I'm stuck until then.
And then until she,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to go to like San Diego. I've just had like it's weird when I first went there, California.
Mm-hmm.
My first time I went there, San Diego was in 19. I was 19. I was just like, damn, this is it.
Sure.
Yeah, I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back there. Even me and my girlfriend, like, we've been talking about, because we both had like aspirations. Like, I lived in Hawaii for a bit during COVID,
nice.
and I really miss that. Like,
which island?
I lived in Oahu,
nice.
and Maui.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I've been like all the Big Island, Kauai,
Yeah.
Lanai and stuff. And yeah, I like my family's here in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. Like, I actually really value that. I appreciate that,
Mm-hmm.
friends and stuff. But man, like everything else, the surfing, the hiking, and outdoors and all that, you don't really get that here, which.
Yeah, it's all very flat. It's all very, very flat.
Yeah, like I miss the mountains and the ocean and stuff. Like the lake's nice, but like I don't know, the ocean's just like its own thing.
Oh yeah, and then you've got all the canyons and hillside, and like you said, hiking.
Yeah.
And you can hike all year round.
Right.
Which is really great. There and like people talk about hiking here, and like I've gone to places that are hiking spots, and I'm like, this is cool. Like you've got like a hill that you can go up for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and there's some like decent spots, but like they're far away. Like you got to drive a shit ton.
Yes.
Whereas like in San Diego, you're like, oh, here you go.
You can see it. They're all right
there.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah, so we'll see. It's it's one of those. I would definitely love to go back and find something like that if I could. And so that I'll probably hopefully work on it. I think like most millennials, I'm praying for societal collapse. and then I'll be able to strike after that.
Yeah, man. We'll sit on the sidelines until that happens, and then
just
we'll
wait for it.
Yeah, just build up build up our cash pile, and then
That's exactly.
or just move down to Mexico.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm Mexican. I speak Spanish. I could
nice.
I could do that. It is basically the same. It was all Mexico, anyways, before it was America. So
yeah,
it's the same weather.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I think Mexico's. I mean, obviously it's not like as expensive as the U.S., but it's experiencing that same problem. In Mexico City, I think they're getting really pissed because I think a lot of Americans are going down there and jacking up the rent.
Yeah, and I hear there's a water issue. There's actually somebody in the right who's talking about, she does economic equality and what's it called? Not economics, but climate equality and all that stuff. And she's talking, and she like does investing specifically for climate changing companies. And she was saying that in Mexico there's a water shortage. She's like, here you guys brush your teeth and you just like let the water run. And she's like, in Mexico you don't do that. In Mexico
Can't
City.
do that. Wow.
And it's like everybody thinks about it. They're always doing it. They wash their hands. It's like and like they turn the water off while they scrub. And it's like you do everything to be water saving, but like here we're not as conscious of it. And she was like, that was actually kind of surprising to me when I came here. She's like, because like she'd grown up with it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's definitely a big thing. They're causing that big change in that, right? Plus increasing the prices of everything.
Yeah.
I heard there was also, what was it, quinoa, right? So quinoa, when it became a craze here, where everybody's like, oh, quinoa, it's high protein, super healthy, really good for you. Well, there were people in South America that this was a staple for how they survived. But now all the quinoa was being sold to America, and then did they have to eat it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting how that we get that balance and disparity, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Next couple. We're gonna have a fun ride.
I think so. I think what's gonna have to happen is there's gonna just have to be a whole shift everywhere globally of where America's gonna have to drop and other countries are gonna come up and get closer to it.
Yeah, you think that? You think like America's got like? I feel like we've been sitting on our perch for a while. Like the top of the stack. And
oh yeah, and that economic stack is run on cheap or free slave labor. That's it. That's it. That's how. Look at all American products made in Taiwan, made in Beijing,
like China,
made in Mexico, made in illegal, like Nike shoes, all this stuff that are like made by cheap or slave labor. Like that's it, and that's what props up the American economy, and has always. And so that's kind of, there's going to be a point where there's no more cheap or slave labor in that way.
Yeah.
And when that happens, there's going to be that shift.
Yeah, it's gonna hit the fan. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we can be ready for it. I think we can prepare, and it's the question is do we want it to be a graceful change, or do we want it to be a sudden shock to everybody?
Right, like soft landing or hard landing.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think we're gonna go through that for sure, dude. I'm with you on that. It's just like you can't really time things like that either, though. So it's like, you gotta think about like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the world, the whole world, other than with like a pandemic, it moves very slowly. Change happens at a very slow rate. It's generational, right? So it's not our lifetime; it's our grandkids' lifetime, and stuff like that might happen. If we survive, we don't have that much long for global warming, according to the person I was talking to.
Oh, really? What were they saying?
Well, she was saying the same thing. She was like, we have to mitigate that 1 degree Celsius change, and we're not on the way to that. And you can tell just in the weather patterns in
like
Chicago.
Way more extreme events and stuff like that. And
and so she's just like, it's going, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And like, we have record-breaking heat waves every summer, but Chicago is getting more mild. That's how climate change affects Chicago. But if you were to look at like South America, or to look at Africa, or to look at even parts of like Southern Asia, there are record-breaking heat every year, every summer, and fires. Like, did you see all the smoke that was here?
Dude, that was crazy.
That was a crazy wildfire in Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, and that was all because of global warming is what
Yeah, I
caused
feel like that was our first, like one of the first tastes of global warming here.
Yeah, right,
Was
exactly.
like, and I think the lake levels too have some part, you know, in it. Like, you know, like there's like erosion on the shoreline. But I feel like that was the first time I was like, damn, like, you know, because you think Midwest, so hey, it's like safe, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you're not most of that. Oh, that all that stuff happens in California or whatever.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, no, here it was like, damn, I was like, this is really some heavy stuff. Like,
Yeah, tons of it. Yeah, and then it also affects food because I think in 2019 it had rained so much that they were unable to plant crops in Indiana. And Indiana exports a ton. They grow corn, right?
Yeah.
Corn and soy, which is like big exports for food.
Yeah.
There's corn in just about everything, so it's it's fundamental to people for eating. So if you can't plant it, if you can't grow it, if it's too wet, then that affects the food shortage across the U.S.
Yeah.
Right?
So what do you think about like everything that's coming out, like the election and stuff like that too?
Ooh,
It's probably.
that's where I'm. Let's see here. I'm extremely left, but like in a way where it's like there's no political party that's ever going to satisfy my degree of like, hey, the whole world's on fire. We need to do something about it and take care of people. I was just talking to somebody from Bulgaria about socialized healthcare and how they're like, yeah, in Bulgaria, you don't have to think about it. He's like an optician, and then before that he did medical billing. And he's like, it's absurd out here. He's like, it's absurd what you guys have to do.
Oh, my girlfriend's from Czech, dude. And
Okay.
Yeah, she's just like, she did like literally refuses to get surgery here.
Oh my gosh.
Because she's like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, she like goes back home to get surgery. And I'm like, yeah, I actually like, I agree with you. I think it's like nuts. Like, like for example, like the health, like honestly, I remember I got injured while I was surfing in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I got 9 staples in the back of my head. It was like I was like probably there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it cost me like $2,000. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
And did you see?
And that was with insurance.
With insurance. Did you see what the
like,
bill looked like for the insurance company?
Yeah. I was just like, what the
$64,000 per staple.
I was like, crazy. Yeah, we need to get that figured out for sure. Because I'm like, I'm very, I think it's just, absurd. But I don't know. Like for me, like it's crazy that hopefully we don't hit. Maybe we do. I don't know. I can't predict the future, but like it's like if we like I can't believe like if we head towards like another Biden Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have like 300 million people here.
Yeah.
And you're telling me we produce the same 2 old ass dudes.
Right.
Like it's like what?
Really? Yeah. No, and it's not. What it is like okay, so George Washington said in order to maintain our freedom, there were 3 things we needed to do. The very first one obviously said no kings. We can't have any more kings ever again. Right. So we got that right. The number 2 thing he said is we cannot have foreign allegiances because if they go to war, we have to go to war. Right. We do that. We have tons of foreign allegiances. The number 3 is he said no political parties because the political parties, they don't care about policy. They care about I'm fighting whatever other side of the aisle. That's it. The ideology, and they stagnate. They stop doing anything.
Like no one's done shit. Like I feel like they like it's crazy too. Like I feel like nothing gets done until like literally like the 11th hour, and then they just like shove a bunch of shit into one like massive bill. Yeah. That then like no one fucking read.
Right. Now there is, and this is what's the most interesting thing is I've actually been paying attention to like what Biden has accomplished in the time that he's been in place already. Yeah. And he actually has like a record low unemployment rate. Yeah. Like I think 17-week unemployment rate record. Like it just hasn't been that level ever. Maybe 17 months. Yeah, 17 months because that's how he's been in place. And then he also saved like $8 billion on healthcare, like costs, out-of-pocket costs for elderly, which is like, okay, fine, I guess he care about that. And then so like, and the economy has like bounced way back. He's added like I think like 13 million jobs, which is the most of any president ever. Yeah. And that's like the COVID return plus an extra 4 million. Wow. Yeah. Right. And it's just like we don't hear about a lot of that stuff. But again, I'm still thinking like, okay, like how does that translate? Where does that translate? And then where are the parts where people still get really screwed over? Like when COVID happened, I was talking to somebody, there's a substantial group of people that are like, oh, Trump fed everybody. He made sure everybody had extra money when COVID happened. But they think, the stimulus that was given was so great. But it's like, we had one of the worst stimulus packages of any civilized country, like any country, Western culture, not civilized. But, we got $1,200 2 times, whereas in Europe, they got $2,400 every single month.
Wow.
Yeah. So, right. And so it's like you said, what's the best? It's all political parties are not part of the government. They're just groups of people consolidating power. That's all they've ever done. And that's why they're throwing this as trash. This is the best they could come up with because they're stuck to these old methods.
Right.
We need a political party that isn't a political party, that doesn't care about politics, that cares about policy, to say what can we do for people. We just don't have anything like that. There's nothing in place like that because we're on the European system. We're on the English system. If you saw in London, they had their own version of Trump that did the same thing. Yeah, and he appealed in the same way. Oh, I'm a regular guy like you, blah blah blah. But he was just like the same type of person, and didn't do anything for the people. Still hasn't. They just did the Brexit thing that happened, years ago. But it was like that's all he accomplished, and it was a terrible thing for the economy.
Right.
So it's like this is kind of the way it goes, and unfortunately, that's the political system we have. We do not have a policy system. We do not have a system that says, here's the policy that's happening, here's how it's benefiting people, here's what it should be
like
doing.
Here's how we get stuff done.
It's just a popularity contest.
No, seriously, it's like, okay, like who can raise the most money, who can pump the most advertising, who can mudsling the most, and it's devolved even more too, where it's just like like I can't even like watch the debates.
No.
I mean, at first 2016 they were like, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is like actually going on.
Right.
Like with Trump, I was just like, I can't believe he's like saying that. And then now it's just like I'm just like so sick of it now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's like, how does it even get to being like this? It really makes zero sense.
You can actually just take a right here too.
Is that better?
Just
Okay,
telling
cool.
you, on this thing, you can actually take a right and then just pull in.
Okay, cool. We'll do.
But like I think we need like some kind of, I feel like more choices, because like I feel like the competition is they're just like a duopoly. They don't like they know that it's going to be either Republican or Democrat. Oh, the next street.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it like you can actually go down this way, so you can take a left.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, you can actually pull into there's like a little driveway thing.
Cool. Yeah, and that's where I think, ranked choice voting was a thing that would help do exactly that, where you say, here's my first choice, but this would be my second choice. Here's somebody else I would like.
Yeah, you just pull in this driveway.
Yeah, and that would make sense to give more choice, because right now it's if everybody votes for one side or splits it out, they'll split it to poison it to where the guy who was in third place would win because first place and second place didn't win.
Yeah.
It was great chatting, man.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Hope you make it back to California.
That's the plan. Thank you.